At an Tu Pham newspaper. Dai Dong and Tru Tu Chin went to Van Hoi. Dai Dong said, "We sneak in without having to pay." Tru Tu Chin replied with confusion. They entered the spacious palace. Dai Dong said, "Here it is." Inside, there is an extremely large Buddha statue, made of gold, and many Buddhist followers are eating and drinking. The master sits in front of the Buddha statue and says, "Now the world is at peace. It is the spring of our lives." Tru Tu Chin said, "Here it begins." Dai Dong said, while sitting behind eating. The master announced, "Below, Monk Shin will recite an impromptu poem for everyone." Tru Tu Chin happily said, "Master, go ahead." Dai Dong looked at the table full of delicious food in front of her and couldn't stop laughing. "Ha ha ha ha, there's so much delicious food." The master turned towards the Buddha statue and turned his back to the Buddhist followers. The Buddhist followers were extremely excited, shouting loudly, "He's here." The unique position of the master. He turned his back and spoke directly to the Buddha. He was communing with the Buddha. This is the awe-inspiring scene. The supreme abbot started reciting a poem. The dance emperor did not stay in the same form, all thanks to the Buddha's divine intervention. While listening to the master's recitation, the Buddhist followers couldn't stop admiring. The first half of the poem depicts a serene landscape, subtle after the rain. We can feel it. The supreme abbot immersed himself in the poem with a lingering tune. The water emperor, the moonlight palace, self-governs. He touched the middle finger with his thumb, creating a unique gesture. When the recitation ended, the supreme abbot thanked everyone. "I am Tuyat Lang Shin," continuing to support. Everyone immediately followed Tuyat Lang's gesture. Everyone cried, perhaps because it was the first time they heard such a wonderful poem. Beautiful poetry, a bit lonely and sublime, depicting the master. Tru Tu proving that Ra is extremely admired. Uncle Si Mi is very obsessed and screams that he is handsome. Very talented. Some people raise banners for Ra out of excessive love. Wandering in the sky, love must be a person. Poems echoing in the warm snow. The teacher on the stage, shining like a singer performing on stage. You guys on the mountain, are you good? Call my name. To explain a bit, in the Ming dynasty, scholars led the entertainment life of society. Tuyat Lang is the symbol of that era. Culture through literary organizations, expanding his influence, like a modern star, organizing a music show like CA. He is the star of the Ming dynasty. Regardless of young people or old men, all have the spiritual need to worship idols. Tru Tu admires to the point of crying. Of course, crying out of joy. He holds both hands to form a heart to express admiration. Learned this from Tru Hao. Those around immediately follow suit, also forming heart shapes like him. This hand is so special. The teacher raised that hand as a sign. The atmosphere today is very good. Everyone immediately copies, creating an atmosphere, like a grand live show of a top singer. The teacher exclaimed that it has become popular quickly. Below, Pham Dai Dong eats extremely rudely. One hand holds a spoon to eat soup. The other hand picks up vegetables. Not only that, when eating, it makes extremely unpleasant noise. Not suitable for sacred places like temples. Pham Dai Dong eats while continuously praising the food. Delicious. This rude action of Dai Dong makes people around look at him with contemptuous eyes. Perhaps because he feels the strange looks around, he hesitates. Everyone eat. It will get cold if you don't eat. After saying that, he continues to eat rudely, eating soup but slurping it so loudly, causing annoyance to those around. The chief officer sighed in pity for the poor manners, and spoke accurately of the ancient rituals. Seeing the uncivilized eating habits of Pham Dai Dong, the man in green felt extremely angry. He cursed, thinking to himself, with my academic status, I should be seated in the front. But instead I'm arranged to sit behind these harmful eaters. I refuse to accept it. The man in green stood up in anger and shouted loudly, "Where did you come from? Eating so indecently here, sullying the pure land of Buddhism." A fat man immediately retorted, "Shut up." The man in green continued to swear, "You look like a poor scholar. Even people like you can come and make up the numbers." So Pham Dai Dong stopped eating. "Fine, no more eating, no more eating." Where did he get a toothpick from? He picks his teeth while talking. You just came to make up the numbers. Your whole family came to make up the numbers. Writing poetry is my forte. The man in green said, "Go ahead and do it." Everyone around joins in writing poetry. Pham Dai Dong said, "Let me make it clear." He raised his middle finger and began reciting his own poem. The pagoda shines from afar, sparkling. The top is rough, the bottom is pointy. He explains that because he lived during the Ming dynasty, he didn't know that raising the middle finger was disrespectful. He just used his hand to mimic the shape of the top of the pagoda, and turned the pagoda upside down. The monk was astonished and made a scolding gesture with his hand, depicting the realistic life. Is the second half of the poem more interesting? Pham Dai Dong disappointed the master by reciting very ordinary verses. The top is rough, the bottom is pointy. He still raised his 2 middle fingers, looking extremely funny. He thought to himself that he forgot to put his fingers down. After Pham Dai Dong finished reciting his poem, everyone remained silent like a sheet of paper. The man in green handed a wooden box to Dai Dong. Not a bad poem, this is for you. Pham Dai Dong asked in confusion, what is it? The guy in the green shirt is laughing like he just won the lottery, ha 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 ha. That lunchbox, and he's still clueless. He still doesn't understand what's happening. In my opinion, it's a gift. A lunchbox to Pham Dai Dong, to teach him how to write poetry. Even the master is amazed. Then he bursts out laughing. The main advisor is disappointed, muttering to himself, Pham Nguyen only gets a 15 out of 100 for his terrible poem. The horse replaces Nguyen. The guy in the green shirt laughs mockingly. Don't say your poem is bad, it still has a bit of rhythm. He's over there. He still doesn't realize he's being teased. So he's still happy. Hold the lunchbox and say thank you. You can accept this reward. First, I have to thank my parents. Hearing that, the guy in the green shirt asks anxiously, are you happy after provoking and playing with others? I remember now, in your current state, you look like a monkey. Your name is Pham Dai Dong. The guy in the green shirt criticizes you for not working properly. Just eating all day, and even made the princess run away. You are talentless and useless. Your sheltered life is due to donations. Originally, your family had some property. But after your parents passed away, you spent it all, because the guy in the green shirt is spreading false rumors. Pham Dai Dong corrects him. The princess was deceived by the steward. It's natural for me to run away with the money. And yet you are here speaking. Leave this place, no one will be friends with you. He finished speaking. The people behind all shouted, go away, go away, go away, go away. He immediately says reconciliatory words. All right, according to the crowd's request, I'll leave. But Pham Dai Dong hasn't had a chance to leave. The main advisor pulls him back, and declares, I am willing to make friends with Pham Nguyen. Is there a poem that can compare to the Tang dynasty? And about writing poetry, the great Ming dynasty has a history of 200 years. You guys are just happy-go-lucky, just smiling without any substance. Even when I was at my lowest, Pham Nguyen still treated me sincerely. This is true virtue. He is deeply touched by the love of the chief of true. Both the brothers in the main hall are silent. No one speaks. To explain a little, even Dai Min is not without masterpiece. Just a revision, compared to the correct verse. This everyone can see through. This matter is clear to everyone. But it cannot be said because everyone needs face. The chief of true is confused and asks quietly, why suddenly so quiet? The blue-shirted guy opposed and dared to criticize your exported words. Do you know what is logistic? What is legal procedure? How to use Dien Hua Dien Kong? He thought contentedly. Anyway, I am also a scholar. And lost to 2 guys like you. Someone said you have courage. Why don't you write a poem? To humiliate us. Others also followed to compose poems. He boasted immediately that there was nothing difficult about this. Our brother's talent is high, starting with 7 steps to become a poet. The king caused a scene. He said, you brothers take the courage to export my poem, and overwhelm the chief of true while mumbling that they don't know. I don't know how to write poetry. Dai Dong unexpectedly asked, aren't you often reciting poems to yourself? True answered mumblingly that he doesn't recite poems, but rather composes them. The Dai Dong examination does not include poetry. So True Ni does not study poetry. Thug does not know. Everyone keeps calling for True Thug to write poetry. He said, you can write it. You write 7 steps and it doesn't become poetry. Go a few more steps if you want. True Thug replied, saying, I am a poet, indeed I belong to the Ko Gam. Because he was too forced, he began to make up a big name for the blue-shirted guy. In the style of the Ko Gam. I don't believe it, the chief of true replied, I don't believe it, that's all. Fortunately Pham Dai Dong still has some common sense. He quickly changed the topic. You're amazing, redo that piece. The guy in the green immediately became restless. Turns out he doesn't know how to write poetry either. Pham Dai Dong is slightly more intelligent. But he's not stupid. Within a moment he immediately understood that it was a miserable topic. Tuyet Lang waved her hand and kicked her leg. to attract everyone's attention. Wherever he looked everywhere. I am the protagonist of the literary society. You are right. Alright, let's do that. If it's so difficult, then let General Pham contemplate first. Then come to our literary society. Then you ask if it can be arranged like that. Of course, no one dares to object. Tuyat Lang extended the branch to Cho. Surely the main general will grasp it. He clasped his hands and thanked them. Very good. Thank you, great master, you are right. But in his heart, he was extremely happy. Oh yay, great master spoke to me and bid farewell. So we report to Buddha Shakyamuni. The guy in the green still mocked. Don't dare to come back, okay? Wait for Pham Dai Dong to respond. I'm not a princess waiting for something. Definitely not coming back. The main general opened the reverse sleep mode on his hair. Sad eyes. Chin up, as if thinking about something. He thinks, I struggled too. I learned through 300 Tang poetry, let's try. Who knows, maybe I can achieve a work of art. Time goes back. In the morning, on the second day of the month, the evening literary meeting began. Hao called out a series of dishes. Steamed buns with barbecue pork, shrimp dumplings, grilled bread, egg cakes, seafood noodles, crispy fried chicken, bone broth soup. Each one is missing from the girl's response. Only the stage remains. True Hao expressed his regret for 3 top stage performances. The girl disappointed him, only ordinary performances. He had to accept it. We'll eat for now, 3 people with 3 stages. True Hao said. Mr. True greeting the esteemed family. The man without a hat greets the rich young master. The man with a hat responds to the greeting. True Hao asks the old man if he wants to renovate the house. Where can we find workers? He asks. The old man replies, there are many unemployed workers in the alley. If you need 20 strong workers, it won't be a problem. True Hao happily replies, I also want to find a tutor for my father. The old man points in one direction, and introduces Zhao's younger brother. Zhao Fuang Van is not bad, do you think so? True Hao looks in the direction the old man points, but he doesn't see anything. He anxiously asks where to look. The old man replies that he has been standing beside him the whole time. Hearing what the old man says, True Hao becomes even more anxious and continues to ask about Ha Dong. Suddenly, someone appears behind True Hao, startling him. The old man laughs and says, the presence of this little brat is a bit weak, but he is very hardworking. He comes to the shop every day to help. True Hao asks again if he comes every day. I haven't seen him for several days. The man with the hat says as if he were a young master. It's not good. The rich young master replies. Don't worry, Mr. Fuang. I won't hire a tutor. I'll pay you 3 years' worth of wages. 2 months' worth becomes 3 years' worth. He thinks silently, but that's fine. Humble people usually don't cause trouble. Because the wages are so cheap, Mr. Fuang says. True young master. Should I hire another tutor? The girl immediately screams to stop him. Since Mr. Fuang has also introduced himself. Of course the old man cannot allow himself to be inferior. The old man points at some chicks and ducks, and then says, how about hiring another tutor? True Hao laughs happily and humorously. The little chicks are once again chased away by someone. Get out of the way. Name. Fuang O. Turns out he is from the noble Fuang family of Thuong Nguyen district. He responds to the call. Name. Li 19. Behind him are his 2 underlings. He shouts, give me the annual quota. Hurry up and hand it over to me. You've been missing for 10 days. Old Fuang is scared and stutters. Li Quan, what are you doing in our small store? He yells, what do you want with 5 kilos? Old Fuang stutters, I can wait for my chickens to grow up and lay eggs. He raises chickens for eggs. He's extremely arrogant. You're laughing at me, do you want to fight? What do you know? I have better eyesight than others. He laughs wickedly. Haha, I see that your daughter has grown up. I can sell her at a good price. He looks at the girl with a creepy gaze. The girl angrily says, Li 19, are you speaking their language? The group of people enclose the girl. The girl is frightened and asks, what do you want? He responds, I'm going to sell you to repay my debt. The others laugh in a creepy way. Old Fuang begs for his daughter's safety, don't do it, Li Dai Nyan. Then, he harshly slaps old Fuang, and tells him, get out if you can't bring enough money. Lao Tu slaps old Fuang hard. Then he says, get lost. If you don't bring back enough money, Lao Tu will have to punish you severely. True Cam steps forward. Nia Heap stands up to protect his family. They block Fuang's way. You shouldn't collect taxes from this store. The taxes will exceed the shop's revenue. How can a small restaurant like his bear the burden? Moreover, the taxes are higher than usual. The old man immediately agrees that True is right, but he continues to berate them. True Cam, you traitorous enemy. Do you really think you are a general? You dare to lecture Lao Tu? Lao Tu will teach you a lesson. True Hao says, this is important, True Cam. Zheng Quan orders Li Ninethin to hold True Cam, and prepares to slap him. The enemy soldiers watch as True Cam suddenly screams. True Hao thinks, oh my god, it's True Cam. He is the youngest disciple of Vong Duong Min. True Cam has won the doctoral prize. Because of the severe accusation, Zheng Quan has been arrested for 13 years now. But it will be another month or so. He will be pardoned by Emperor Long Khan. Then he will rise to a high position. Li Ninethin's hand is about to touch True Cam's face. I didn't expect the Tai Jia mansion to hide such valuable goods. Such a big thigh, it's not worth waiting until when. When Li Ninethin's hand is about to touch True Cam's face, True Hao brings a silver ingot in front of him. He unexpectedly stops his hand and stares at the silver ingot in True Hao's hand. He says this 5 taels of silver. The young master will pay on behalf of Fuang's boss. After saying that, he turns around and asks True Tien Sin if he is alright. True Cam immediately answers that he is fine. Lao Fuang expresses his gratitude to the young master. This money will be paid back later. He shows a gentlemanly demeanor and says it's not necessary. Consider it as prepayment for Fuang's fee. Li Ninethin evaluates this boy's background. The girl thinks this time he seems really rich. He calls True Tien Sin. True Cam responds with, dung. True Hao immediately switches to acting mode. 2 tears flow from somewhere. The majestic demeanor of a righteous leader for the people makes me admire your worship towards you like a rolling river. Please accept my pillow. True Cam is bewildered and says I have my own pillow. He continues to say that although you are a military officer, I feel that you must have suffered wrongful imprisonment, and that must be absolute. Hearing you say that, True Cam is moved to tears. For 13 years, this is the first time someone has been so passionate about him. True Hao's performance has reached its climax. This young man, have always admired your character. I have already decided that this person will be my friend. The young master also has a decent character. True Hao then laughs haha. The girl wonders in her flattery. Amidst the crowd, she even flatters a military officer. And he's an old man. Why did Li Ninethin hold the silver ingot and say that? Our financial situation isn't good. Actually, it's because Nam Hoc Duc suddenly urged us. We're missing 5 million VND in taxes. Hao thinks it's because of his debts. Then we all dispersed. I called True Tien Sin. True Cam responded. I said we should have tea together tomorrow morning. True Cam's expression is unique. When I got home, it was already dark. I called father and son. Inside, True Tu Chin is planning to hang himself. Underneath the house, countless papers are flying around. I panicked and screamed loudly. Father asked, what's happening? What's father doing? I said father come down quickly. But after a few seconds, I realized. He hasn't climbed up yet. True Tu Chin is feeling ominous. What's the meaning of living? I think this extremely difficult question is not easy to answer. I asked what exactly happened. He explained, I promised Dai Su Tuyat Lang to write a poem, but I couldn't think of a single line all day. It was a waste of time reading 300 Tang poems. I'm only living to waste resources. I think it's an issue for the Literary Association. I sat down. I picked up the scattered papers on the ground to read. This isn't just writing on the ground, right? Let me see on this paper. Here's an extremely strange poem. Ga ek ga voi ga noi kuoi lung. I wonder what ga ko lung means. After reading his poems, after writing, I kept complaining in my heart that they were all copies. Such poor copies. Hanging oneself is definitely the necessary solution. I said, I'm not afraid. Tonight, I'll write a poem for father. I absolutely won't let father lose face. True Tu Chin doesn't believe True Hao can write poetry. Writing poetry is very difficult. My child has the heart to let father continue to indulge in this depression, unable to step out on his own, like walking in your own tomb. I said, when I come back, buy 10 hot grilled chicken legs. In the kitchen, just as he suspected, he immediately went out of the kitchen. While he was leaving, he said, I'll continue to be lazy after eating. He couldn't say anything more. The night was quiet. True Tu Chin lit 4 bundles of papers around him. He pondered while holding a pen. Grandmaster Shui Lang values me so much. I must disappoint him. If Grandmaster Shui Lang hears this, he will surely say, overthinking. I don't care about you, he replied. It's impossible to be irritated and make eye contact. Before writing a single word, he fell asleep. The next morning, as soon as he opened his eyes, He thought of 2 meeting speeches. To go or not to go. He decided not to go. He sat up. Then he saw a piece of paper placed beside the bed. It was his own. "This isn't my handwriting, it's my child's," he muttered. "It really helped me with the poem. I stayed up all night to write poems for him to see." This early poem. After reading it, he screamed in surprise, echoing throughout the house. "This poem was written by my child. It's amazing. How could you have imagined? But if someone else had done it, they would have been praised by others long ago. But I've never heard of this poem before. That means this poem was really written by my child." He looked at his sleeping child, and believed that he was a genius worthy of admiration. For a genius, the True family naturally bowed down. True Hao finally woke up. He asked what they were eating this morning. "Bother your father outside," he said. True Tu Chin took True Hao's poem, and left the house shamelessly, even though thousands of people were attending the meeting. On the way, he met Pham Dai Dong. He said his brother knew another place where they could have a meal. True Tu Chin declined. "I want to attend Grandmaster Shui Lang's meeting." He replied, "Life is long enough. There's no need to hurry and bring shame upon yourself." He said, "Your confidence surpasses your imagination, brother." Of course, Pham Dai Dong will always trust True Tu Chin. If we are not difficult to deal with, others will be difficult to deal with. The 2 newcomers were insulted by the guy in the blue shirt yesterday. Right on time. That's right, just in time for mealtime to show up with talent. Because he is so unlucky, the 2 of them immediately ignore him. Someone teases the prince to eat it. The main secretary seems indifferent, while Pham Dai Dong sees it as a compliment. Guests do not need excessive courtesy. He raised his hand like a superstar and said, "Hello, everyone." The people around immediately laughed. Seeing that, the guy in the blue shirt is extremely puzzled. Why is this old man so arrogant? Does he have the right to do so? Why does he speak so disrespectfully? "I didn't expect you 2 to dare to come." Pham Dai Dong replies sarcastically. "My face exceeds your imagination." The guy in the blue shirt immediately asks if you're sick. Pham Dai Dong continues to tease, "Do you have medicine?" The rude guy shouted loudly, "Stop talking nonsense." Immediately in front of him appeared a piece of paper. He said, take it. Because the master is above, he sits above to watch the goat fight. He said arrogantly, "Let's see what you have written and read. You think that in the past 30 years. The main secretary has never been so confident. Seeing this confident posture of yours, he thinks with envy. Damn it, he won't stop insulting you." The confident attitude of the main secretary is sky high. The guy in the blue shirt starts reading. "Approve the separation of heaven and earth. The pain of separation is inevitable. See how many flowers fall." While he was contemplating the meaning of the verses, someone responded, "Ra" is a term referring to the love of flowers. Someone commented that this section is also exquisite. It's not easy to see him being praised. He says in envy, "I stayed up all night just to come up with a sentence like this." Of course, he doesn't care about this kind of petty person. Continue reading. He continues to read. "The emperor's flowers are endless, only one word. 6 pairs of spring surplus, the bird sings when it sees food." When he finishes reading this line, everyone is stunned, including Tuyat Lang. He continues to read in a trembling voice. "Waiting to suffer under the lamp. Yearn for the first group of Tan Hone 9. Resent the heavens and despise the earth." Tuyat Lang let out a sigh. This line is very popular among people. Then Ra didn't speak nonsense. It is truly a suffering and lamenting phrase. Some people evaluate this phrase with great admiration. It is not an ordinary work. Everyone praises it incessantly. Impressive. Impressive to the point of dropping one's hat. Even the person in the blue gown also said it is a great phrase. On Monday, he hesitantly touched his hand. Fong Dam insults the great disciple Dong. Even though he didn't understand it, he still cheered along. Gang Jia Tu is a phrase that everyone is eagerly waiting for. Continue reading quickly, he stutters the most. Everyone is impatient to read faster. Suddenly, Tuyat Lang rushes up, snatches the paper from his hand. "Let me do it." Tuyat Lang continues reading, "The most fleeting thing in the mortal world. Chao Nyan from the mirrored eyeglasses." The poem seemed to touch everyone's hearts. They have a feeling, as if we were meditating on the mountain. Beside us is a beautiful cherry blossom tree sitting there. Days go by, months pass. And as it gradually ages, it becomes a skeleton. But it still remains in a prayerful posture. And then it gets buried deep under the ground. This poem touches people's hearts. Life is fleeting. Reincarnation dreams vanish in an instant in the universe. Flower in water, moon in the mirror. Tuyat Lang, give me another sentence. The most fleeting thing in the mortal world is Chao Nyan from the mirrored eyeglasses. This is truly an immortal quote that conceals the 200-year shame of the Ming dynasty. This is indeed a passionate high monk. Everyone's eyes are fiery. The great Ming dynasty's poetry has been saved. The protagonist of the righteous faction has suddenly turned into a traitor. Seeing everyone's emotions at such a climax, the person in the green gown with 3 legs and 4 gills runs away. This place is not convenient to stay. Suddenly, the leader of the triad said a sentence. Dampens the emotions. The great Ming dynasty's poetry has been saved. The main character of the righteous faction before suddenly becomes a traitor's side. You can eat lunch for breakfast. Tuyat Lang was angry and thought about such a situation. Only thinking about eating, but that will always be an emotion hidden in Tuyat Lang's heart. On the surface, the master appears extremely respectful to the host. Before eating, would you like to have a cup of tea as an appetizer? The guest is bold enough to disturb the master. You eat very deliciously. Very delicious. The master keeps praising. It is indeed a grand and unique manner. You invite the master to eat together and discuss. Those who have talent are always different, ha ha. There is a person who talks about Duong Dai Min needing such a talented person. Others show admiration and respect. Admiration and respect. Pham Dai Dong thinks, because of a poem from the disciples, has turned Lam Sin into a grand name. Ha ha, so happy. Today is like expanding my vision. After a while, finally, you are satisfied, full, and no more hungry. Everyone around just waits for your words. Tuyat Lang asks, still not consulting, the great reputation of the esteemed family. You assert that I am not from the esteemed family. In fact, my name is Tu Cha. Everyone is surprised by Tu Cha. You are also too crazy. Even to Dong Ba dare not call himself Tu Cha. But in this era, following the old rules, can only be an insignificant official. Wanting to lead the way, can only take the rebellious and arrogant path. Tuyat Lang hugs him and says she understands her fellow believers. You explain it, great master. My intention is that I am truly Tu Cha. It seems that the master still does not understand your intention. He points his thumb at you and says, the host is indeed excessively arrogant. The little monk admires. Admire what you just said. My intention is that since just now, it was my son who wrote it. The abbot was puzzled. Impossible. Your deduction. The host looks like you just reached that age. The maximum number of disciples is only 15. 16 absolutely cannot have such advanced skills. I'm not really sure about the explanation. Maybe my child is a genius. He strokes his beard while thinking. I didn't expect the effectiveness of this word lesson to be so strong. If I had known, I would have let my child learn by himself. Pham Dai Dong boasts that he is the friend of Tu Tra. A man has heard the name Tu Tra for a long time. The abbot still can't believe his eyes. He keeps thinking and feels unable to see the truth. He can only ask anxiously. What? In true Jia, there is no electricity in ancient times. It's really inconvenient. Where is the oil lamp? Suddenly, he heard the sound of the door opening and asked who it was. A monk appeared in front of him, emitting a bright light. Immediately appearing in front of him, he was surprised. What is this brightness that blinds my dog's eyes? Finally, he could see clearly. The bald abbot's bald head is too bright. It can reflect moonlight. Then he introduced that he is my son, True Hao. He asked, is this the Destiny Transformation House? He answered, he is not him. Before I could introduce myself, Tuyat Lang spoke quickly. Little spirit Tuyat Lang, please allow me to introduce myself. He asked in astonishment, you are Tuyat Lang? Do I have any reputation? True Tu Chin whispered, all the things that happened with you today are caused by your writing. That's why he wants to find you. He answered irritably, I wrote a letter to make my father famous. I don't want to be famous because it brings troubles. Let this selected player speak your dreams. I have a dream, to be a nobleman, enjoying wealth and oppressing men and women. I don't want to be famous because it brings troubles. I'm most afraid of troubles. Quietly become rich. Being humble and doing evil is my life motto. I still have to go to the State Academy tomorrow. It's really warm between father and son. True Tu Chin left. Tomorrow I have to go to the study hall to bathe. Both of them slowly spoke, holding on to the conversation. What do you want to say? Don't go into a silent space that scares people. I think 2 men staying in the same room. One of them is a monk. The atmosphere is a bit difficult. Tuyat Lang sits on the bed and pats the spot beside her. The little master lies on the bed. Let's talk about poetry and life. True Hao immediately refuses, not wanting to annoy him. So I don't write, I don't know who went. Tuyat Lang said, I'm not going to leave. You admit that you wrote it. I really want to know how you wrote it. He holds his head in frustration. He blames father for being quite foolish in the past. Why is he so cunning now? And he left such a mess for me to deal with. He said, if human life is as simple as the first meeting, it would be good. Tuyet Lang felt like she had found a new truth. He shouted, if human life is as simple as the first meeting. He shouted, don't sleep on my bed. He angrily thought, stupid father. He used to be quite naive. Then he said a proverb and had a great sense of humor. Tuyet Lang contemplated life again, remembering some people, that I don't understand why they are all girls. Not only that, they are also extremely beautiful. Many of them are noble ladies. Tuyet Lang exclaimed, wow, thank you for creating such a good sentence, master. Hearing such words, the little monk dies without regret. He continues to deny it. Have you finished? I'm telling you, I didn't write these words. They are all written by other people. It has nothing to do with me. But as for Tuyet Lang, go on. The little monk has a thoughtful and intelligent nature, reading poems from all over the world. I've never read the ones that the master wrote. If not for you, then who? True Hao sneered. How big of a garlic bulb are you? Dare to say that you have read all the poems in the world. Tuyet Lang is determined to lie down on the bed of True Hao. You said, just show it and then go. Dedicating a saying from ancient times doesn't hide anything. Replaces, Tuyet ku mung do. I heard that is not my writing. Definitely not the person who did it before. You keep chasing, my bed smells so good. Go or not, answer the question. Let the little monk experience this soft and dull shock. Both the masters listened to the little monk's admission, go. He turned around in annoyance. If you don't go, I'll go. Yu Lang hugged Zhao Hao and shouted loudly. The master saves him and asks why you are here. You offered to recruit the great Ming's orchestra. It's been 200 years since then. Now we need talents like you to come and save us. Save the great Ming's orchestra. He replied nervously and let go of me. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew into the house. Blew away the papers on the table. A piece of paper flew towards Yu Lang. She asked, what are these? Explain a bit. These are the poems that Zhao Hao copied for me last night. Then he chose one page to give to father. Yu Lang found out that they were his poems. So she struggled to catch him. Is it his poem or yours? I want you to keep him. I don't want you to keep Yu Lang's clothes. Only the clothes, not his body. Yu Lang caught the papers containing his poems. Zhao Hao exclaimed in astonishment. Yu Lang's movements were extremely skillful and Zhao Hao. At this moment, he was extremely worried. While Yu Lang struggled for a while. The first poem is written as follows. The transformations of the lost tales. Hao composes a red fairy tale that does not adhere to the East. It should be so. The wings of sorrows are nameless, the white guardian of affection, a flower that chews on the sky of nature. That poem is called 9009 Encouragements to the Chao. Genius born to open the gate of yin qi, descending into save the actors and fight capable people. Sometimes after reading these poems, Yu Lang felt as if he had realized a new truth of life. He sat in the corner of the wall and said in a professional manner, what's going on? Hey, Abbot, Yu Lang said. Master Zhao should not be the head of the Zhao family. His eyes immediately burst into flames. He panicked and thought of leading the fire to incinerate himself. And this matter keeps getting bigger. He started crying. These poems are all masterpieces within masterpieces. People even say he doesn't know how to write poetry. But this solid evidence proves otherwise. Tuyet Lang's body does not have a veil to cover it. Facing him, he asks what you want. You reply, I understand now. The monk doesn't like reputation and wants to be humble. But Tuyet Lang clings to him and keeps saying, I won't allow you to be humble. I will make you famous. You will become renowned, even surpassing the great Ming. He is motionless because he's caught off guard. He tells me to take care of you. I'm willing to become a beautiful dog by your side. He screams in fear, calling for help. Help. Ah, 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 ah. Tuyet Lang says, Master, I don't want to leave you. Sao Vo suddenly appears from behind. Tuyet Lang and Sao Vo exchange glances. Seizing the opportunity when the master is distracted, Sao Vo carries him and runs away. Tuyet Lang loudly protests, saying she won't go. She wants to be with the master. Ah, 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 ah. True Hao feels like an innocent girl being violated. He curls up in a corner and holds onto his precious jade heart, realizing he's touching a man's body. I am no longer pure. This time, it's his turn to cry. Mother said Laozi is humble. Because Laozi only knows how to write, not make poetry. In case one day there's a need for a prosperous verse, or an evaluation that directly points to someone, won't that immediately expose me? he sighs, or have time to learn how to write poetry in the temple bathroom. A disciple evaluates. Wait, these poems are even better than master's. Tuyat Lang is soaking in a bath. She needs you to say that I have exceptional literary talent. But compared to the master, the light of fireflies cannot compete with the moon. Tuyat Lang at this moment is completely different from the proud Tuyat Lang before. The other day he said, I want to compile the master's poems into a book. Ta nyat duok va gui den quan fu. Quan fu du trat thay ti the. That ko da mat. Tran chap de choyen kua lao fuang. Tu kong tu muon lay min lam vat tun phi. Kong and nong, sot mom. Ma quan fu con dao chin kong vien lam. Dan luon chu nyan kua tu lao kua ta. Thuk nan kien ta ra nuk mat. Phi dong kua lao. Cho quan fu ket in. Chu ki tu de my chet. Lao fuang the. Nyat din kong the de cho. Nge in go in gao kua and chet kung kam ka phao. Bon ho lai name mo noi tre dep. Chin la hun the kua ta. Da te liat ko zong. That tan nat. Ta di tim quan fu. Quan fu da dong kua fu. Quan ko tam bien ra. Tu nyan zak lam vo dan. Ta den du kai biat mat ka non te. Min kui do de kin tat do tu. Tu ne ta da biat. Pour it into the soup. Then he handed the soup bowl to Phuong Duc to taste. Da watan wathu din Phuong. It is so delicious that Phuong falls into emptiness. Ta nin tren bia ghi. From the tip of the tongue to the entire mouth. Dem hoi mo wasi. Wasi noi tieng han quoc dan ta dat. Noi du. Deo kin. Ngoi tren gi bei tran. In an instant, I feel young again. Dep tri rat nhanh chong. Du kong the gi toy. Good powder, good, seeing my father cry again. The girl questions, doing what? Wa si kao noi. He does not answer the cunning question. He says, cunning girl. Luong tam no ro trong ta. With this soup powder. The girl listens to him and takes a sip of the soup. With closed eyes, she feels, oh my god. This feeling is like opening my eyes. In front of her is a monkey. Ta nyat duok va gui den quan fu. Quan fu du trat thay ti the. That ko da mat. Tran chap de choyen kua lao fuang. Tu kong tu muon lay min lam vat tun phi. Kong and nong, sot mom. Ma quan fu con dao chin kong vien lam. Dan luon chu nyan kua tu lao kua ta. Thuk nan kien ta ra nuk mat. Phi dong kua lao. Cho quan fu ket in. Chu ki tu de my chet. Lao fuang the. Nyat din kong the de cho. Nge in go in gao kua and chet kung kam ka phao. Bon ho lai name mo noi tre dep. Chin la hun the kua ta. Da te liat ko zong. That tan nat. Ta di tim quan fu. Quan fu da dong kua fu. Quan ko tam bien ra. Tu nyan zak lam vo dan. Ta den du kai biat mat ka non te. Min kui do de kin tat do tu. Tu ne ta da biat. Pour it into the soup. Then he handed the soup bowl to Phuong Duc to taste. Da watan wathu din Phuong. It is so delicious that Phuong falls into emptiness. Ta nin tren bia ghi. From the tip of the tongue to the entire mouth. Dem hoi mo wasi. Wasi noi tieng han quoc dan ta dat. Noi du. Deo kin. Ngoi tren gi bei tran. In an instant, I feel young again. Dep tri rat nhanh chong. Du kong the gi toy. Good powder, good, seeing my father cry again. The girl questions, doing what? Wa si kao noi. He does not answer the cunning question. He says, cunning girl. Luong tam no ro trong ta. With this soup powder. The girl listens to him and takes a sip of the soup. With closed eyes, she feels, oh my god. This feeling is like opening my eyes. In front of her is a monkey. After drinking a bowl of soup, slyly seemed to get lost in a lush forest. Surrounding are various types of animals. We see a new world full of vitality. The happy girl runs and jumps, making the other two slightly startled. Who has a big question mark on the head? He asks slyly, Miss, what's wrong? Mr. Phuong replies, I don't know. He ignores the girl and asks the owner of Phuong Fan. Phuong Duc raises his thumb. This place must be a secure place with a lot of lights. It's impossible to hide anymore. Moved to the point of tears and runny nose. Mr. Phuong with a deep voice. This face powder will open a luxurious mansion by the Tamar River. It will surely be successful. Upon hearing this, Tru Hao is extremely surprised. He said that I really want to open a mansion. And I also want to invite Mr. Fuang to be the manager of the mansion. No need to pay, just take 2% of the shares. Mr. Fuang is extremely excited, tears streaming down. Immediately after that, he praised. From now on, we will call you Mr. True, as you wish. Fuang Duck is truly good at seizing opportunities. Tru Hao quietly calculates in his mind. The more we do business, the bigger and more. The boss cannot satisfy my status and position. Thinking about it, his eyes look around. He speaks up. Anyone can call me Mr. True's deputy chief. Fuang Duck sees that. Immediately he does not understand. What does deputy chief mean? He wonders what he asked again. Tru Hao hesitates, scratches his head and laughs. Let's say I haven't said it. Then, he holds a small white ceramic bottle in his hand. Fuang Duck is extremely excited to see that. He opens his eyes wide, raises his eyebrows and looks at the bottle. He wonders what this face powder is. Tru Hao smiles and answers. This is a fresh powder formula that, speaking of which. He hesitates. Then he continues to say temporarily keep it a secret. Fuang Duck hears this and doesn't ask further. He starts to flatter, raises both hands to show the like button. Then he praises the extremely fresh powder. Men in brine carry themselves to rebuild the great medicine that everyone must have. Tru Hao is by his side. Crafty thoughts are running through his mind. Actually, it's a powder made from dried clams, combined with other refined spices. Then he looks serious, and turns to Fuang Duck for the address of the mansion. Layout. I'm still searching. I'll notify the boss after I determine it. Upon hearing that, Fuang Duck responded happily. After Tru Hao left, the little girl suspiciously asked, what did Dad and him talk about? Fuang Duck turned to his daughter and said, that's a secret. After that, he explained to her. Fuang Duck confidently concluded, we are about to become a family with the true heir. Upon hearing this, the little girl's eyes widened in astonishment. Really? Dad, what did you do? Hearing his daughter's panicked voice, Fuang Duck explained, Dad misspoke, and you misunderstood. Fuang Duck explained to calm his daughter down. Seeing her daughter's distraught expression, and realizing his mistake, Fuang Duck further explained, Dad misspoke, and you misunderstood. To make his daughter feel more at ease, he then returned to Tru Hao. Tru Hao was preparing a potion, surrounded by various ingredients. He looked at the ingredients on the table and calculated silently. The reason why the dried oysters are fresh like that is because they contain glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is the main component of artificial sweeteners. According to my past life memory, I added a little water near the white sugar to the paste. And based on that, I can further enhance the fresh taste of the dried oysters and remove the fishy smell. Wow, S is bad at chemistry, so she has to review comic books. And she's even asked to review chemistry knowledge. Tru Hao glanced at Min Kai below. He continued to think. At this time, Min Kai hasn't developed this seasoning method yet. Based on this powder, when opened, it will definitely be successful. This is the second step to revive the True family's glory. Thinking of this, Tru Hao laughed happily. It worked, which made the fat sugar look surprised. He was extremely curious about why Tru Hao was laughing so joyfully. Then, the fat sugar approached and patted Tru Hao's shoulder. Tru Kong too. Are you looking for someone now? I felt someone patting my shoulder. Tru Hao glanced. He turned around and realized it was Duong Map, Fat Duong, the boss of Duong. Then Tru Hao smiled professionally, looking at Duong Map affectionately. He said he had heard that Zong Tan, Tuyat Ban, runs really well. The boss is pleased. 109,002, 52,200-002, 54,466. A phone call that can make Fat Duong laugh. Fresh as a flower, he answered without hesitation. Because of the good quality of the merchandise, ha ha ha. Then he said he has brought the profits. Tru Hao smiled approvingly. Duong Map handed him a check. He said 3,210 for Tru Hao. Holding the check, he said, who's generous? Hearing that, Duong Map replied straightforwardly. Still splitting the profits in half for the gentleman. Preparing is done. Hearing that, Tru Hao said, of course, Ban Nguyen Hu, Wen Yuan Wei, 2,200 bearer bonds. Duong Map smiled deviously. He thought in his head, True Jia Toi Ban, but he can easily take out 2,200. Then he asked, so when will we collect the money? Tru Hao laughed. I plan to open a wine tavern in the Tai Jia, Tai family, alley. After dealing with this matter, we can start collecting. Duong Map was extremely surprised. What? Opening a tavern in the poor people's alley? He exclaimed. At this point, this fat guy's mind started to have ideas. He widened his eyes, sweating profusely. Like bathing, he couldn't stop wondering. Opening a tavern in the Taijia alley, isn't that a disease? His face turned pale at this point, thinking about the poor people there. They're dirty, worn out, and many diseases, he thought in his head. Opening a tavern in the poor people's alley. Nam Kin, is this selling your soul to the devil? Is it possible? Could it be that Tru Kong Tu, young Master Tru, is really? He looked straight into Tru Hao's face and screamed. In Tru Kong Tu's heart, he really is a mentally ill patient. Tru Hao was stunned for a moment, not understanding this fat guy's name. What are you thinking that makes your face pale? Your nose is sweating as if you just took a bath. Then Duong Map speaks up. Tru Kong Tu is opening a 9-story building in Taijia Lane, isn't he? You're giving advice on that? Right away, Tru Hao waves his hand and says no. No, I want to open a high-class brothel in Taijia Lane. Hearing the words, high class, Duong Map is even more shocked than before. In his mind, he wonders, how can it be so crazy to open a high-class brothel? Maybe Duong Map hasn't heard the saying, that successful people have their own path? That's why he is incredibly shocked. He is worried, because he thinks Tru Hao is a mentally ill patient. And he worries that he will lose his money. In his mind, he thinks, cooperating with a mentally ill person is not good. I want to get back my 3,000 liang. Seeing Duong Map's bad complexion, Tru Hao is curious. The boss's complexion doesn't look good. Right after that, Tru Hao puts the promissory note in front of him. Tru Hao calmly says, look, I wrote a cooperation contract for you. Seeing that his money has been taken away, Duong Map can only cry out in his heart, feeling sorry. I'm sweating like crazy, thinking silently in my head. I can't take it back, can I? Then he says, could Mr. Kong Tu tell me the reason for cooperation? Hearing that, Tru Hao confidently affirms. Because this year is the year of Long Con Nguyen. This Duong Map has a big head. But his brain is like a grape, it hasn't sprouted yet. He is extremely curious and asks like that. Then, why can't Dai Min use so much silk? There's no way to sell it overseas. And silk production will continue to decline. And banning trade is the current policy. This sea cannot be opened. At this moment, Tru Hao is very confident and replies, no way. The reason is this. Now the country needs resources to compensate for that gap. Or, in other words, the emperor is very poor. Secondly, after planting bien toi cotton from the southeast, more than 10,000 occupations all suffered severe setbacks, causing the lives of the poor to be difficult. A social factor that leads to instability. The type of poor people who are beggars. Even the wealthy of the third house are affected. 7 will definitely cause pressure and impact on the emperor. Certainly the officials will demand the opening of the border from the emperor. Open the border, open the border. Tru Hao confidently asserts. After opening the border, silk prices will soar. That's right. Tru Hao even drew a chart of the rising silk prices, to illustrate for this fat guy to understand clearly. Hearing that, the fat guy couldn't help but think. In his head he wondered about every detail very clearly. Not like having a brain disease, foolish brain. It is said that the Tu Fa family's house is even affected. Even the 10,000 silk weavers are greatly affected. From maritime transportation, it will definitely greatly contribute to opening the second border. Certainly, he must have had some relations with the Tu Fa family. What new information has been revealed to this little guy? Thinking for a while and contemplating in his head for a while. Finally, the fat guy spoke up and asked specifically when the silk will be collected. Tru Hao smiled happily and replied, it will be in 2 days. Hearing that, the fat guy also happily said, I'll prepare to wait for you. But then, the fat guy fell into thought. He stroked his chin, thinking silently in his head. But in the end, why do we have to open a tavern in the Tai Lane? I don't understand, I don't understand. I don't understand what's important. Repeat it 3 times. Then the two of them went in different directions. Tru Hao happily walked and hummed verses. Seeing that, I couldn't help but think. This little guy is either a god or a crazy old man. I will use these 3,000 taels to test you. Very quickly, Tru Hao arrived at the Tai Lane. This place is an alley with old, dilapidated houses. The walls are covered in overgrown grass. On the roofs are layers of moss. The trees are dry and the sound of knives from Tru Hao's voice echoed loudly. Sao Dai Jia, try adding this very fresh powder. The 2 men, a middle-aged man and an old man, that were just called Sao Dai Ca and Sao Dai Jia. Start tasting soup. True Hao on one side holds a bottle of powder in his hand. Observing the two of them. After the two of them drink to the last drop of soup, something unexpected happens. Oh, surprise for the man Cao Dai Ca. He feels satisfied, strong like a soldier, while Cao Dai Jia seems to be younger by about 10 years. Robust physique and especially their birds are happily jumping around. The two of them happily laugh. Cao Dai Ca speaks up, praising this soup. It's delicious. It's miraculously stimulating to the taste buds. My body is experiencing a magical illusion. Cao Dai Jia is also amazed and exclaims, "It seems like I'm younger now." At this time, True Hao continues speaking. "I want to use this powder to open a tavern in Tai Street." Cao Dai Jia's eyes shine brightly. He laughs and says, "There is such a god. I see the wine fragrant. I'm not afraid of deep alleys." "Have you chosen the address, Mr. Hao?" Interested, ask and listen. True Hao responds, "Is the old man interested in cooperating with me? Turning your iron shop into a tavern. No need to spend money, and get 2% stake." True Hao smiles confidently and proposes to Cao Lao Jia. Hearing that, Cao Lao Jia is somewhat surprised. The old man says, "Our shop doesn't do good business. Changing it into a tavern could be seen as good by Miss Vuvu." The tall and strong man next to him firmly responds. Hearing that, True Hao is extremely excited. He laughs happily and continues, "In the future, when we build the tavern, I will need Cao Dai Jia to help oversee it." Both Cao Dai Ca and Cao Dai Jia hear this. They laugh happily. Lao Cao says, "When you grow old, happiness depends on your son." Then True Hao folds his hands behind his back and happily leaves. He has some confidence in himself. It's not difficult to become the chief commissioner. Watch me pass by and close my mouth. The matter is finished. Next, go find the most important elder. The Tai Jia alley is very quick to respond. Two men. One man is reading a book. One man is resting leisurely. Master True Hao appears and they are extremely surprised. Surprisingly, True Hao's eyes twinkle. He smiles brightly and speaks. "Sir True, Master Gao Trong has not seen you for a long time." Seeing that, the man who was reading the book seems annoyed and says to True Kong too is not here for long. The person next to him also stands up and greets True Kong too. True Hao then approaches and says, "Enjoying the sunshine, picking the winter chrysanthemum, meeting Namisen Lady Dih." Hearing that, Sir True becomes slightly worried and responds, "No chrysanthemums, no mountains." Sir True wonders and asks what is the matter. True Hao's eyes twinkle and he responds, "This year, father wants to participate in the imperial examination, but the exam is very difficult." Then True Hao switches to a deep tone, raises his hand to his forehead and continues talking. "Unfortunately, there is no mentor to guide us. Father has failed 5 times already. So, to put it here." True Hao respectfully bows to Sir True. And then he continues speaking. Wants to invite Sir to prepare for the exam. Help us become his mentor. Hearing that, the person next to Sir True exclaims, "Oh, this is good news." But Sir True hesitates a bit before speaking. "True Kong too, you must have known about my experience and identity. You should stay away from me." True Hao's eyes show great determination. He even raises his hand to indicate this determination. He talks about the 2 PhD scholars with high talent and 8 heads, and not fearing the powerful. Speaking bluntly, because the people fear the military, not losing their spirit. Then True Hao smiles confidently and continues, "Our father greatly respects you. Father wholeheartedly wants to worship you as his mentor." Hearing this, Sir True hesitates a bit. In his mind, he thinks, "For over 10 years, I have hated demons and criticized human affairs. What a joke. In this cold world, who still remembers me, loose friend?" He had a deep, sorrowful secret in his heart. He gazed straight ahead at True Hao. Carefully consider. Today, this young man truly values me. Or pretending to. Lost in thought. Then, the person next to Mr. True tapped him on the shoulder and spoke up. "What are you waiting for? Speak kindly like this, even if you have to swallow your pride." Mr. True closed his eyes, let out a long sigh, and spoke. Although they're both Ho Chu, which sound like homonyms, they're not necessarily the same. True Hao stood behind, not understanding anything, but he still had to force a bright smile on his face. Hearing that, Jop Trong, who was standing beside Mr. True, spoke up. "What are you hesitating for? The enemy has chosen their troops. What else is there to do? Make your promise quickly." Look, the young master is still standing there, bowing. At this moment, Mr. True is still in a difficult situation, hesitating. As for True Hao, he is bowing, but his mind is completely blank. He is extremely curious about whether he will agree or not. It turns out that literary people still exist. Then True Hao bursts into tears, with tears streaming down his face and nose. He says, even if the young master doesn't pass the exam, I'm about to hang myself. And to top it off, I've got crooked teeth. Jop Trong, who is standing beside Mr. True, also urges the important person's life. Mr. True is still deliberating for a while, before he finally manages to say anything. Hearing that, True Hao is overjoyed. His eyes shine brightly. He says, that's great. As for dealing with Lao and Chi's revenge, we will invest with the Cao family. We will renovate the iron shop into a mansion. And we'll invite Mr. Fuang Duck to be the head of the counter department. Each person will have a 2% share. I want to invite Jop Trong and Mr. to join in the management. Without investing money in the mansion, we will only invest effort, with each person having a 0.5% share. What am I hearing about money and shares? Captain Jop with two eyes, bright and sparkling, he was asking what's good about this. As for Mr. True Tien Sin, he is still very doubtful. True Hao secretly smiled with hidden meanings. He calculated a big circle, just to get you, True Cam Noi, to invest. Once he has your big thighs in his hands. True Tien Sin heard True Hao say this. He was extremely surprised and puzzled. Open a wine shop in Tai Ra Alley, how about that? But in his mind, he thought True Cam Ta wouldn't agree. He wouldn't accept the offer. There's a reason why he didn't take someone else's shares for no reason. But thinking about this, True Tien Sin hesitated a bit. Afterwards, Mr. True Tien Sin continued with his thoughts. In his mind, he opened the wine shop in Tai Ra Alley. It is certain that it will close. Having more shares is useless. Thinking about it, Mr. True agreed. It's up to you, young master. He just paused for a moment before continuing to speak. Mentioning the wine shop in Tai Ra Alley still requires further consideration. True Hao laughed brightly and praised him. It's okay, it's okay. In his heart, he smiled cunningly. Everything is under his control. Until now. Suddenly Mr. True spoke up and asked, exactly, how does your father address you? Hearing that, True Hao quickly answered, my father is Master True, the chief of the True family. When it comes to the word, father, from the chief, Mr. Tien Sin was extremely surprised and exclaimed, are we mistaken? I absolutely cannot be your father's teacher. He refused to be the teacher of your father, True Hao. Hearing that, True Hao was also extremely surprised. Gaped, his mouth sweating and tears flowing. Your little boat spoke, the ship overturned, huh? At this point, things seemed to have deviated a bit. True Hao was extremely surprised and asked again, why is that? Commander Jia has to believe. Yes, why is that? Why? In his mind, he regretfully thought about his 0.5% share. Mr. Tien Sin didn't explain anything. He just said, the will of the heavens. Then he firmly told me to go meet your father. Mr. Tien Sin was determined. He turned around and walked forward. He only said one word, which made the two behind him frozen for 5 seconds. Both True Hao and Commander Jia were pondering. This situation is not in True Hao's plan, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. Constantly thinking bad thoughts. Could it be that he and my father or him have some grudge? Enemies or rivals, oh my god. Storm within. Rain falls on True Hao's head. He is discouraged, thinking in his head about embracing big thighs to no avail. Instead, he was kicked by the small boat beside him. They quickly arrived at True Hao's house. True Hao's father is the main general. Returning from outside, happily said, I'm back, give me some food. But right after that, True Hao's father was stopped by 3 people waiting in front of the house. Surprisingly startled, he exclaimed, what's going on here? Then True Hao quickly ran to his father and whispered, Father, the situation is like this. True Hao told his father everything. His father listened attentively from beginning to end. Then he used a determined look and straightforwardly asked True Hao, why did you find a group of soldiers as your master? Seeing his father ask like that, True Hao crossed his arms and approached, whispered to his father, Father, you don't understand. But the problem now is, I don't know why he is no longer satisfied. Hearing this, True Hao's father glanced at True Tien Sin, True's advisor, and suddenly exclaimed, True Tien Sin, what do you say? Then True Tien Sin cleared his throat, and then loudly shouted, May True's southern peace and prosperity flower garden. Hearing these 8 words, General True was extremely shocked. He then asked his son, "Why don't you feel grateful for having such a master?" Not understanding what they were talking about. True Hao and the captain were confused. True Hao widened his eyes, wondering what was going on. After a few seconds of shock, immediately, True Hao's father raised his hand strongly towards the front. He responded, "Yes, you don't understand." Writing the script. Hearing this, True Hao was even more shocked. His eyes widened, his mouth opened, and he was gaping, not understanding anything at all. Even True Tian Xin just now had a very loud voice. True Hao's father responded with a loud voice like that. He also became a bit surprised. Sweat dripped on his face. True Tu Chin and True Cam, the fourth eye, looked at each other. They looked at each other as if sparks were flying, making the two people behind them constantly curious, not understanding what was happening between the two. Seeing the tense situation of the two, True Hao's sweat continued to flow. Your eyes widened, you clenched your teeth. In terms of appearance, he is no different than a battle general. Right after that, True Cam gritted his teeth and spoke in a stern tone. Then, True Cam kneeled down and respectfully greeted the senior, leaving Cho True Tu in extreme shock, uttering a sound of disbelief. This turning around was even more intense than Hai's turn. It made Cho True Hao and True Tu Chin go from one surprise to another surprise. Originally, they thought they had a deep grudge, but turned out, True Tu Chin is actually the senior of True Cam. True Hao couldn't believe it. His eyes rounded, his mouth hung open, continuously uttering words. Continuously muttering, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" True Tu Chin was also sweating profusely. Because of the previous turnaround, he stuttered, unable to speak clearly. True Cam still knelt on the ground. Then, True Cam looked up, respectfully saying, "I am the 27th generation descendant of the Great Song dynasty. True Cam is here." True Hao and Jop Trong were shocked. Seeing True Cam still kneeling on the ground, True Tu Chin spoke, standing up. "Are you also of the Yan family?" True Cam answered honestly. Just as he finished speaking, True Tu Chin felt something was off. He then said it was incorrect. Then, True Tu Chin raised his hand to stroke his chin and continued. "My handwriting is that of a word master. So you should be a new era word writer. Why are you Kim Bok?" Kai Cam saw True Tu Chin's confusion. So, True Cam explained, and held up a stone with some writing on it. True Cam said, "Senior, please take a look." All three of them, True Tu Chin, True Hao, and Jop Trong, curiously looked down. True Tu Chin was questioning what was written, only seeing one white character on the ground. Then, True Cam covered the writing with his hand and the writing. Then told Chief True to read it again. After rereading it, Chief True joyfully exclaimed, "So that's it. He really hid it well," he exclaimed. Hearing that, True Hao's eyes lit up. He turned to ask his father, "Is our family of royal descent from Great Song dynasty?" Chief True, with a hint of pride, said, "Of course, we are a branch of the Yan clan. The Yan clan is more than just Chaola. It includes True Duck Thu and the Gai clan, True Duck Phuong. These are the two branches of the True clan." Upon hearing this, True Hao smiled happily. He looked at his hands and exclaimed, "Oh my God! So there is noble blood running through me. The 27th generation descendant of the True clan." Looking at True Hao's face at this moment, he was extremely pleased. Right after that, True Hao was very excited and thought in his head, "My status and position are not just the eldest son. Perhaps, I should rearrange my life in this new world." While thinking, True Hao imagined a powerful dragon surrounding him. His father, standing behind him, was also very proud of that. In addition, True Cam and the captain also ran out of words. With the self-satisfying level of these father and son, True Hao thought from this moment on, the work would be renamed, The Mission of the Royal Family. Ignoring True Hao's nonsense, True Cam and Chief True, like two longtime acquaintances, hugged each other happily. True Cam joyfully said, "Ha ha. In the future, there will be many missions to complete. It can't be wasted." Chief True also replied happily, "Indeed, we have a predestined relationship." True Hao, witnessing from behind, chuckled and thought to himself, "Damn, there's so many generations ahead of us. And still, they can be considered brothers, huh?" True Hao smiled mischievously and continued to think, "Damn, how many generations are there? But no matter what, we're also on the same level. In any case, the superior can still hold me." At this point, True Cam also spoke up. "Father Master, about the upcoming exams. I have finished writing the plan. Listen, General True is extremely surprised and exclaims. Right after that, Lady Cam has drawn up a schedule for exam preparation. For General True, Lady Cam explains the schedule for exam preparation. Every day, wake up at 5 a.m. to study early. Only at 10:30 a.m. can we go to have lunch. After returning from the National Academy, must sit at the desk from 11 p.m. to listen to me read the scriptures. And practice writing until 12:30 a.m. With literary exercises, practice for 2 hours. Before being able to sleep. The next day, wake up at 5:30 a.m. on rest days. All day, study for the exams. The schedule that Lady Cam prepared for General True was written in detail. After finishing speaking, Lady Cam presents it in front of General True to see. Lady Cam says it's like this. Look at the dense exam schedule. No time for rest. General True is shocked and exclaims loudly. Doing this will kill people. He is also sweating, because this schedule is too long. But Lady Cam is very serious when she says, in a thousandth of a moment, let's go, dear master. Before Lady Cam's resolute attitude, General True can only cry out in despair. He curses and expresses the miserable life of General True. The time moves to 2 days later. At this time, many silver ingots have been placed neatly on the table. True Hao confidently says, these 200 taels, Mr. Sao, please accept. Seeing the shining silver on the table, Mr. Sao honestly replies, don't worry, young master. They are all 6 people. True Hao stands in the middle. To his left is Mr. Sao and Mr. Sao. Jia, to his right is Mr. Fuang Duck, Trong and Lady Cam. This can be considered a shareholder meeting. First of Tiu Lao Corporation. Under the Triu Families Group. Is the headquarters translation? At this moment, Mr. Sao spoke up. The repair work must be completed to satisfaction. Hearing that, Mr. True Hao happily responded to the difficulties. Fuang Duck also handed a paper over to True Hao and said that the design had been discussed with him. The remaining 3 people stood nearby, eagerly listening. Once the discussion was over, True Hao confidently continued, then everyone should cooperate. Afterwards, Captain Jop happily went outside and said, Mr. Kong, you have been called, come and see. True Hao quickly responded and went outside. What caught his attention was a group of strong young men. They had well-built bodies and exuded a powerful aura. They stood in 3 rows. At that moment, True Hao stood in front of them. As he was smaller in stature, he had to stand on a chair, so that Sao Bang and his group could see him clearly. In his mind, Sao Bang silently thought, a truly talented individual. The Thai family's alley is indeed filled with talented individuals. Nam reached out and grabbed a pile of items. Let's see how the boss handles them. Right after, he shouted loudly, causing his subordinates to struggle. Then, the strong men of the Thai family's alley also shouted together, serving Mr. True. Immediately after, True Hao took on the demeanor of a boss and commanded the rest of the group to stay, to participate in building the lounge. The third group, follow me. Quickly. Group 3 and True Hao boarded the boat. On the boat, at this moment, Duong Map was frightened. His face turned pale and he sweated profusely. This surprised True Hao, and he curiously asked the drunk captain, why are you seasick? Looking at Duong Map and his subordinates, who all had the same expression, their faces dark and sweaty. He asked them if they were all seasick. They stammered and could not answer. At this moment, Duong Map felt a little shy. But be careful not to get dizzy. That's why they all have dark faces like that. Because, behind True Hao are strong young men, with muscular bodies, and robust figures. Their entire beings exude an aura of power. Why would Mop Road and his subordinates not be afraid of him? Now True Hao finally turned around and glanced over. Finally True Hao understood the problem. Immediately after that, True Hao burst into laughter. Ha ha, looking at the strong young men, showing off their muscles on the boat. The 4 chubby guys sat quietly in a corner. The subordinates of Mop Road trembled with fear and spoke up. When the boat reaches the middle of the river, they will ask, do we want large noodles or wonton noodles? Hearing that, Mop Road felt a little scared. But he still shouted, don't talk nonsense. See that scared crowd on the street? True Hao tried to hold back his laughter and reassure them. They are all good people. We came to help and invite them to put on clothes. The fat people were less worried then. He quickly wiped off the sweat with his towel. He jokingly said, this young master Ra Ui of yours is very strong. Hearing that, True Hao replied, your boss has been thinking a lot. Don't you want to go back to the countryside to raise silkworms? I'm afraid of being bullied, so I brought a few more people with me. Hearing that, the fat guy also smiled. He raised his fan and fanned himself. At this time, his aura had improved a lot. He said, "Rest assured. Green and yellow won't be welcomed now. We are the gods of wealth, who would dare to bully us?" Tru Hao and Duong Map. Together they headed towards the bow of the boat. Tru Hao asked, "What do you think? Should we charge in without raising silkworms? We had to go with the flow, not raise silkworms." Outside of Nanjing, hearing Tru Hao's question, Duong Mok smiled and touched his lip. He replied, "Because it's closer to Nanjing, it's more profitable. In terms of business, Mr. Duong is already familiar with it." Afterwards, he made a hesitant expression. Covering his mouth with his fan, he continued, "Besides, the most important thing is the secret of the silk trade. Of course, the farther the better. Let's do silk production in Du district." Hearing this, Tru Hao smiled. He understood, but in his heart, he thought of bringing along his pig-head general. And in his heart, he was relieved. He said it was him. Immediately, Duong Map ordered his subordinates. "Tomorrow the boat will come to catch some fish for young master to try." His subordinates replied obediently. The process of catching fish and processing it happened very quickly. The result now is a fresh, delicious fish, covered in a red sauce. Looks very appetizing. Seeing the delicious fish in front of him, Tru Hao's mouth started watering and he secretly thought, "This fish was caught 400 years ago. A difficult request. I never expected Lao Tu to have such a blessing, ha ha ha." At this moment, Duong Map approached and said, "A noble descendant. This fish must have had many meals." "Really?" Tru Hao whispered to himself, trying to maintain his image. Immediately after, Tru Hao coldly replied, "That's how it should be." Of course, before he could take back his words, a wave surged, causing them to be extremely anxious. The plate of fish rolled with the water. Tru Hao regretfully shouted, "Oh, my fish." It turns out that their boat is a small boat. This small boat has been overwhelmed by a much larger boat, passing by and splashing water. Tru Hao looked at the boat with a look of regret, watching the delicious and nutritious fish being carried away by the current, helpless and unable to do anything. Then Tru Hao loudly cursed, "This big boat is despicable." This big boat passed by the small boat of Tru Hao, causing waves to splash. Tru Hao's face was wet with water. His expression twisted in discomfort. He loudly cursed, "A big river like this wants to pass through. Do you think money is everything?" Although the big boat had traveled quite a distance, Tru Hao still cursed irritatingly. On the other hand, Duong Map looked at the sign on the big boat and realized that it belonged to the 5 key characters' names. He helplessly thought about having money. Indeed, the 2 small boats they rented were owned by 5 key. At this time, on the big boat, inside a room, a woman used chopsticks, picking up each piece of delicious fish bone, putting it in an 8-shaped dish. After picking up all the bones, the beautiful woman turned to speak to a gentleman. She said, "I picked up all the fish bones, please enjoy, sir." This gentleman is probably over 6 weeks old. He stroked his beard in response. Then, the woman gently invited the gentleman. This gentleman delicately picked up each piece of fish, put it in his mouth, then he said, "What about this evening's catch? I'm already tired of eating so much." Suddenly, a beautiful woman spoke up. "Did the master remember earlier? Why didn't you call him to the boat?" This master seemed a bit annoyed. He turned coldly and said she should mind her own business. Then, the master looked away. He continued saying the old husband wants to train them. They have to endure some hardships. So meeting each other isn't a coincidence, right? The girl continued speaking at that moment. She hasn't informed the master yet. He and Tru Cam from the Cam Nyan Tong still have a deal. Hearing this master was extremely surprised and raised his voice. He wondered why he remembered this curtain. This woman's face changed a bit. Becoming cold, she flashed her identity as Tay and said, "Master, if you feel uncomfortable, I will find someone to take care of it." Tru Cam heard, so he turned his eyes towards the girl and said, "No need. I guess this afternoon's nonsense, since it's considered a crime, must be punished. Using the eyes and hands of 5 jinn, I'll spank you. But still, I don't know why." Seeing the master scold me loudly, this woman's tears began to flow and she said, "Yes, I don't understand much." Then she burst into loud sobs. Seeing his woman cry, this master stopped. He continued speaking and said, "You're right, it's not your fault. I told you to do it without forgetting, right?" The woman replied, "I won't forget. That guy, Chu, dared to ruin his engagement, so I took care of him. I already received the 10th payment." Immediately after, the master lifted the woman's chin with his hand, and he continued saying, "Look for an opportunity. Transfer the situation of the 10th payment to my child. Maybe he can use it. The woman obediently replied, Yes, master, I trust you. After giving his instructions, the master sighed helplessly, while the woman lifted her lips, wanting to give this master a kiss. And then happened what S didn't know anymore. Very quickly, the boat of the people of Tru Hao arrived at Huqiao County Minister. At the moment, Duong Map and Tru Hao have boarded the boat. Duong Map excitedly said, Let's go to our young master's house here. I've been to this place several times for business. Hearing that, Tru Hao happily replied, Let's go to Tui Hong Jiang Nam. After the two of them, Duong Map and Tru Hao set foot on Huqiao land. Very quickly, Duong Map's acquaintance here came out running to greet him, touching and tapping his big belly. And Duong Map exclaimed, Long time no see, old Duong. Your belly has grown, how about harvesting vegetables? Duong happily smiled and replied, Not coming to harvest. Hearing that, he was extremely surprised, widening his eyes and asking again if it was true. Immediately after, Duong Map put on a generous appearance and shouted loudly, To do too. How much silk do you all have? I'll take it all. Hearing that, the people in Huqiao were extremely excited, catching the sparkling silk to offer. Are there really people coming to purchase silk? This Huqiao people are quick-witted. They quickly ran back to inform their group. As they went, they urged each other to quickly inform Du Tu about it. Hurry up, hurry up. Tru Hao couldn't hear clearly, so he wondered, what is XA2? Seeing that, Duong Map turned to Tru Hao and stroked his beard, expressing his satisfaction. In every village here, there is a village head who is called Du Tu. Du Tu lends money to farmers to raise silkworms, and then the farmers use the silk to pay him back. If there is any extra silk, they also sell it to the village. Hearing Duong Map's detailed explanation, Tru Hao also understood immediately and praised. You understand it very well, don't you? I can rest assured with your work. At this moment, Duong Map had already set up his table on a wooden chair. He sat down, closed his eyes, and muttered, Let's see later the craftiness of our old Duong. Tru Hao and Cao Dai Xie walked away, waving their hands to bid farewell to Duong Map. Relying on you. Okay, let's go have fun. Looks like this guy has left Da Nang speechless. Very quickly, the two of them arrived to a place with a fresh atmosphere and a clear blue sky. Tru Hao spoke to the person next to him. Stop, Tru Hao said, wait. This person doesn't understand what moi means, he wonders in his head. Immediately after, Tru Hao dragged out a compass. He was wondering what aesthetic thing he was doing. It's a compass checking feng shui. He wonders in his head. Only saw Tru Hao put away the compass and calculating in his head. The golden movement moves raw. This big mountain in front is probably the iron ore mine. And sun has not been discovered. Tru Hao looked up at the big mountain in front. Standing at the foot of the mountain, the two looked really small compared to that mountain. Tru Hao frowned and said silently, That's a big calculation in his head. If I were to exploit it, I would definitely be rich. But mining without permission is equivalent to betrayal. Then he got bored and turned to the person beside him. Let's go, being greedy is useless. This guy just stands there watching you. Without understanding anything, they left and went to another place. They set foot on a bridge crossing the river. At the other end of the bridge is the Vu merchant, with a tall wall in front, about twice the height of an average person. Looking at the tall wall in front, Tru Hao is surprised and says the Vu merchant's wall is too tall. The person next to Tru Hao adds, This is probably to prevent enemy attacks. Suddenly, inside there is a commotion. Someone is yelling, Beat him! Beat him to death! Tru Hao is extremely curious when he hears this. He no longer understands what is happening. Very quickly, he entered inside to eavesdrop on the situation. Inside there is a group of people surrounding and beating a couple. One person shouted loudly for everyone to break their legs and lock this couple's dog in a pigsty. Hearing this, the couple also challenge. If you dare, come! Tru Hao excitedly exclaimed. Then he called Cao Daika. There's a fight, let's go see. Upon hearing this, Cao Daika grabbed Tru Hao's shoulder to prevent the young master from getting close to the wild fragrance. There's a fight. It might turn into a grand battle between clans. Hearing this, Tru Hao didn't understand anything and exclaimed again. Inside, a man and a woman surrounded and fought off their assailants. This man had a bruised face from the fight, but his willpower was incredibly strong. He clenched his teeth and tightly held a stick in his hand to protect the beautiful woman behind him. He spoke with concern, asking if the princess was injured. The woman behind replied, saying she was fine. One of the attackers then viciously ordered, his subordinates to write the name of a fake abbot. The man with a fierce expression and thick eyebrows ordered his men. His square face and fierce eyes added to his imposing demeanor. There was also a mole on his lip. The man behind him looked equally fierce. Seeing them about to attack, the man gritted his teeth and shouted. But in his heart, he was surely very worried. As sweat poured down his face, the group of hooligans charged towards the couple. The man gave his all, swinging his stick around, while his other hand tried his best to protect the woman he loves. The hooligans were shocked that the fake abbot had some skills. Realizing direct confrontation was futile, they decided to gang up on the girl. One of the hooligans smiled cunningly, threw his stick in the air, and said they should deal with her tattered shoes first. The girl quickly realized, and used her stick to block his previous attack. But he was a man, so his attack was very strong, making it difficult for the girl to defend herself. At this moment, the man finally noticed his wife, worried, calling for the princess. Another thug saw this as a good opportunity. He immediately rushed towards the man. Being preoccupied with worry for his wife, he couldn't react in time. Immediately, he was hit on the head by one of the thugs, causing him pain. But still, he clenched his teeth and endured. His wife watched in extreme worry from the side. She exclaimed and looked at the man. The man tried to suppress the pain. He gritted his teeth, using the stick in his hand, continuously striking the thugs. One, then two thugs were hit. But he still didn't forget to protect his wife. From behind, this young man is indeed impressive. But the thugs also seemed to be scheming against him. They retreated behind and shouted, "The fake monk has been seriously injured. No one needs to fear him." They encouraged each other towards the man. He has been injured since before, so now he is very exhausted and struggling to breathe. He endured, suppressing the pain. But his heart screamed in pain. C said that the princess had planned to escape with him, but now they couldn't escape anymore. As he said that, he struggled to breathe, because the wound on his head from earlier was bleeding heavily. But his eyes remained determined. Hearing this, his wife was also determined. She said, "I don't wish to live the same day, month, and year. But I wish to die on the same day, month, and year." Hearing that, he responded with, As the ancestors have said, the same wife, the same husband slapping the East Sea, also lost hope that this couple can safely escape from the gang of thugs. Soon after, the gang of thugs rushed towards them. They loudly shouted and attacked, killing them. A brawl broke out. Tru Hao and Cao Dai Xie hid behind the trees. Observing the situation, Tru Hao said that the couple is about to perish. Cao Dai Xie also accidentally discovered that man using the enemy's tactics in battle. "I heard that." Tru Hao speaks up to urge Cao Dai Xie to mobilize. "So why are you causing trouble? Let's go and help." Cao Dai Xie quickly agrees. But he also reminds Tru Hao, after Cao Dai Xie leaves, help that couple. Tru Hao mutters to himself, "He's in someone else's territory. Be cautious in case someone from our side comes." One of those gang members is planning to stab that man from behind. He curses under his breath, "Damn it, I'll stab you, little scumbag." The man doesn't even notice. He's still dealing with the other gang members. When the sharp end of a wooden stick is about to strike his back, he just realizes it, but he probably won't be able to avoid it. But suddenly, a large hand immediately grabs the wooden stick to prevent the man from stabbing the husband. It's Cao Dai Xie. He is cold and stern. He throws the scumbag and his wooden stick away, sending him flying for a few seconds. This surprises the husband. He turns to look at Cao Dai Xie. This young man acknowledges and mutters, "Sao Vo." Cao Dai Xie. Looking closely, this person is also very surprised to say, "Hey, why do you have long hair now?" They are old acquaintances, but the situation in front of them doesn't allow them to chat. Chief Cao jumps up, throws a powerful kick at a thug. He tells the heavenly army to speak first. After kicking the thugs, Cao Vo pulls down his shirt, revealing his muscular body. Rolling muscles. Cao Vo is extremely proud of his physique. The thugs are amazed and scared. Some admire him. The leader of this group of thugs gets angry and curses, "You shameless scum sell a lot of meat. Why does this guy say that? Is he jealous or something?" Then he orders his follower, "Go call Nam Din here." His follower hesitates and agrees. Okay. The thugs realize that they are no match for Cao Vo. Immediately, the leader orders them to close the gate. Don't let them run away. Cao Vo is still showing off his physique to them, to assert his dominance after the thugs disappear. Cao Vo turns to speak to Heavenly Foot. "Heavenly Foot, you are seriously injured. You need to treat your wounds, and your ex-wife is also worried. Calm down and let's go home, Heavenly Foot. Heavenly Foot's appearance at this time is very pitiful. Blood is flowing from his face. Very messy. One eye is swollen from being beaten by the thugs. Very quickly, the three of them returned to Heavenly Foot's house. They returned to the place of Duong Map. Duong Map is still sitting leisurely on a big chair, while the chair is small. Fortunately, this chair is strong enough to bear Duong Map's weight. At this moment, there are people standing in front of Duong Map. There are 3 people in front of Duong Map, staring at him, but all 3 of them say nothing. Perhaps they are thinking about something. Duong Map sees the presence of these people, smiles and says, "You've arrived." One of them was extremely surprised and asked, "I heard you came to the silk market." Duong Map straightforwardly replied, "So what?" Immediately, the person's attitude changed and he warmly greeted Duong Map. Warmly welcomed, enthusiastic welcome. Then he approached where Duong Map was sitting, and he took his hand to squeeze his shoulder, showing flattery. He said, "The silk of our merchant is the best. Each year, at least half a kilogram. Now calculate your share." Hearing this, other merchants were afraid of losing business. Immediately, they spoke up, "Our family only needs 8 coins. Others joined in, saying, "We can offer 7 coins. 8 coins, 7 coins, 6 coins. But Duong Map smiled cunningly. He said, "I can only give you 5 coins. Hearing the words, 5 coins, made all the merchants extremely surprised and angry. They exclaimed, "Why is your price so high? Even the cost is not enough, we can't sell anymore. You are a seasoned merchant." Immediately, Duong Map stood up. He used psychological manipulation tactics. He calmly said, "I want to establish a silk workshop. This time, I will only take 5,000 kilograms to try. If it doesn't work, I won't take any more." The merchants, probably, fell for Duong Map's psychological manipulation tactic. They couldn't help but think, 5,000 kilograms? That's the remaining stock in our village, adding up to over 10,000 kilograms. It means someone will sell first. The one who sells later won't be able to sell. After thinking for a while, the merchants immediately spoke loudly. "The owner of Duong Silk, we will sell." Then he put his arm around Duong Map's shoulder to negotiate. "I will sell this amount, that amount." Duong Map happily responded, a pleasant cooperation." Other merchants, seeing this, felt uncomfortable. They also gathered around Duong Map and spoke up. "We will sell, we will sell, we will sell too." Selling, selling, selling. Duong Map was very satisfied. With just one tactic, he successfully manipulated the silk market here. Suddenly, Duong Map paid attention to Tru Hao, who quickly ran over from a distance. When Tru Hao just arrived, Duong Map was so exhausted that she couldn't breathe anymore. After exercising vigorously, Tru Hao's body felt hollow. Perhaps he doesn't usually exercise much. His whole body started shaking. He must not be used to physical activity. But he didn't forget to ask for help from Duong Map. Duong Map called someone with weapons. Seeing Tru Hao's condition, Duong Map was extremely shocked, and exclaimed in astonishment for 2 seconds. Seeing that, the group of strong young men from Taijia Alley, that Tru Hao led, quickly arrived with their weapons. They looked extremely fierce. One of them asked what was going on, like a young master. Seeing the appearance of these big guys in front of them, the businessmen were extremely shocked. Their mouths were wide open in fear. One of the merchants spoke stutteringly. "Wah, don't move, we'll handle them. I said we'll pay, even 4 times the price." Duong Map was still supporting Tru Hao, because Tru Hao was exhausted. So he said, "This true young master is cooperating with me." Behind him are the friendly staff. Return to the Sao Vo group, and the couple with divine power. Those gangsters have called for help. There are many of them and they are violent. They have surrounded the house of the divine couple. A brave man walked up and kicked the door. While kicking, he shouted and cursed, "Fake monk, come out. You 4-legged first disciples have embarrassed our sect." A follower with a hat behind him, seeing the violence of the gang leader, he asked, "Do you two really want to kill this couple?" He coldly replied, mocking the fake monk, "Thien Li Bat Dung, heavenly reasonlessness." Then he continued in a threatening tone, suggesting they die first, so they can die outside. Inside the house of the divine couple, Sao Vo was using his large body to block the door, to temporarily prevent the gang outside from breaking in. Rushed in and saw the tense situation. The Heavenly Foot said they are increasing in numbers day by day. Sao Vo spoke up to reassure the public. "My wife, go call for reinforcements." The Heavenly Foot was already cleaned and carefully bandaged. He immediately thanked him. Hearing that, he thanked her. The Heavenly Foot's wife said worriedly, Even though it's bandaged, you still need to see the doctor." Hearing that, the Heavenly Foot blamed himself. He also blamed Go Nok, saying that he has implicated her. Hearing that, the Heavenly Foot's wife said, "If we talk about being implicated, it's me. I'm the one implicated because of you. Before, I told you how beautiful the merchant seems, how good of a person he is. I didn't expect it to come to this." The merchant is silent for a moment. But right after, this couple is affectionate with each other. In front of Sao Vo, the Heavenly Foot or Go Nok said, "Our husband and wife are of one mind. We can definitely solve any difficulties. And our wife works hard to grind tofu every day. The merchant is grateful for that." Go Nok quietly responded to the general's appreciation. Sao Vo is full from eating dog meat. He clenches his teeth and tries to endure. In his head, he thinks about aesthetics. While the Heavenly Foot increases his troops, forming an army, and changes his name to Go Nok. Outside Nok's house, the gang has stacked dry grass around the house and their leader smiles in satisfaction. The grass is stacked. In his hand, he holds a torch. The fire on the torch is burning fiercely. He stands in the yard, facing the house and says, "Cowardly men and women, Han traitors, if you don't surrender now, I'll kill you all." He clenches his teeth. The vicious voice burns every word to kill you. His eyes are extremely fierce. Inside, Sao Vo is also extremely angry, and says to Go Nok, "It's time to kill them outside." Nok looks straight at the door and asks Sao Vo, "Do you want to kill or capture them? Look at the situation, there are so many thugs." I said no, they are too many. The thugs outside are extremely aggressive. Lam Lam too is the spark. He smiled wickedly, and continued to threaten, "If not, then we won't be polite anymore." Right when Lam 2 was about to make a move, True Hao appeared in time. He raised his hand to signal and shouted to stop. Lam 2, surprised, turned to ask who it was. "Which shameless person dares to stop me?" True Hao proudly replied, "It's me. I am your father, True Hao." A tall and strong young man carried him on his shoulder. The burly young men were lined up. They were taking one step at a time. True Hao read the command to take one step at a time. One step. 2,000,000 Hao faced the thugs and said, "Why bully the weak?" Those people saw a group of powerful heroes, like soldiers, and were extremely terrified. Even Lam 2 was shocked and exclaimed. And then he gritted his teeth, and aggressively pointed at True Hao, asking, "Who are you, little brat? Come down here now." True Hao raised his middle finger, saying, "This is what I like to do. What can you do?" After that, True Hao provoked, "Do you have the guts to come up here?" They kept going up and down. "You come down, you come up," quickly and completely. Both sides were fierce. After the teasing between True Hao and Lam 2, one of True Hao's men just got angry. He was filled with rage. He shouted and ordered the strong young men to attack upon hearing my command. Immediately, the group of heroes swung their sticks and hit the ground. Their movements were decisive and synchronized. They continuously attacked like that, all in perfect formation, causing Cho and his gang to retreat. Then one person from the group of young men, who had just given the order for the gang to attack, leaned over and whispered to True Hao, quietly telling him that this is a terrifying way to encounter ghosts. True Hao listened in astonishment. In his head, a person's aesthetics are the tactics that can destroy other people's morale. Very quickly, Thuong Jiavu promptly appeared to prevent the brawl. He rushed over from somewhere, raised his hand and shouted loudly, "Young master, calm down, don't hurt the atmosphere." He quickly turned to Lao Tu and asked, "What happened?" Lao Tu replied fiercely, "Great General, Master, they dug a canal and diverted our water into their fields. Everyone started arguing and fighting. That's how it happened. Sister, please continue from inside." 3 martial arts experts, Go Nok and Thuong Tu Nha heard him say that, and stepped out. Thuong Tu Nha saw that he spoke wrongly, so he spoke up to correct him. "Nonsense, we repaired the irrigation canal last year. I alone have the strength of 3 husbands. What do you guys rely on? And not let us water the field." Hearing this, the gangsters began to speak like thugs, blaming the 2 shameless troublemakers. "The heavens are not raining. Yes, they've annoyed the heavens." True Hao, as a modern person, transmigrated and found the noise too much. True Hao thought for a while. Superstitious feudal nonsense. Thuong Tu Nha continued arguing with these shameless people. 5 years ago, our family went out to find relatives, but they were attacked. All of our relatives were killed. I was captured luckily and the army rescued me. The man who saved me is my husband. At that time, he was still a soldier. But I am grateful to him, so I followed him in the military. 5 years later, he finally returned with me. Thuong Jia said to Thuong Tu Nha. And looked at Go Nok with affection. Go Nok listened to Thuong Tu Nha recount the journey of chasing after me. Also touched and called for 2 hours. Princess Tru Hao felt intrigued behind. And murmured as she proceeded. Love is coming. Lao Tu heard that and squinted, mocking him. Accompanied by insulting words. The reputation of Thuong Tu Nha. Usually, monkeys don't know how to sleep, those enemies. Then lost all the face of the business. Thuong Tu Nha heard that and got extremely angry. She spoke the truth behind. Lao Nun only has one man. Bad-mouthing our couple, because you divided the land. Our family's property was reclaimed by us. Very comfortably. Tru Hao behind heard all and nodded to solve the case. Lao Tu twisted his nose and said indifferently. Return the land to you and what else should I say? Thuong Tu Nha heard that and got extremely mad. She spoke loudly about seizing our land. Return the land near the mountain. The words Lao Tu just said. Even Duong Map couldn't bear to smell. He got angry and scolded. Damn, she only does the thing I hate the most. Being a hero fighting against enemies. Being neglected. Tru Hao glanced at Map and thought in his head. Map stole my lines. Then Duong Map pointed towards Tru Hao with his finger. And spoke loudly. Sir Duong, I hear that chilled. How should one handle this conversation? Tru Hao heard that and calmed down. Thinking to himself, even Map knows that. Then Tru Hao put on a sad face and said, this young master is not happy. Map, who heard it behind, got extremely angry. Gritted his teeth and said, if the young master is not happy, I'm not happy either. If not happy, then don't want to do business anymore. Those businessmen heard that, seized the opportunity to speak. If you don't buy silk from the businessmen, then come to our village to buy. Thuong Jia heard that and was shocked. He couldn't give up this business. Because he had 2,000 caddies of silk in stock. If it doesn't sell, he will definitely die. If he reaches a dead end, bankruptcy is also an option. Hearing that, Lao Tu smiled cunningly. He frowned and cursed. Mother, who are you to worry about the affairs of businessmen? Who wants to fight? Whoever is afraid, we have more than 100 strong men. Everyone under Lao Tu is fierce. They are ready to follow orders and attack. Hearing this, Tru Hao frowned lightly. He glanced at the businessman. He coldly said, we may only have a few people. But each one is an expert in the south. Selected from 100 people. Are you sure the old merchant won't do business anymore? Hearing that, the old fox, Thuong Du Tu, looked bewildered. But then he exclaimed, inside this old fox's mind. He silently calculated that selling silks is a big deal. He thought that I might have to give up the fierce carriage. Immediately after that, he ordered Lao Tu to suppress the fire. After hearing this, Lao Tu didn't understand what was happening. Surely this old fox was trying to shift the blame onto Lao Tu, and this matter needed someone to shoulder it to proceed smoothly. Immediately after that, this old fox gritted his teeth and said, the two tigers must fight each other. So fight 20 pigs sty every day. Hearing these words, Lao Tu was stunned. What did you say, boss? You can't direct it outward. If this old fox stabs Lao, then he must follow Lao. Standing among the crowd, he pointed directly at Lao Tu and ordered the strong men to tie him up. The strong men were extremely surprised and confused. Someone spoke up, saying that he was his younger brother that day. Hearing that, everyone agreed. Hearing this, the old fox became slightly angry. Then he glared at the crowd of strong men and asked harshly, do you want to be soaked? Immediately after that, he ordered a strict execution of the chief's orders. No more words or resistance from Lao Tu. He had to grit his teeth and accept being tied up. And Emperor Min Hoang Qian did not return to the village. Chief of a tribe has extremely powerful control over other tribes. The real nobility is adding punishment from the government. Even the government turned a blind eye. Right after that, the old man too was laid face down and tied to a long chair. Then his pants were pulled down to reveal a round buttocks. The old fox bowed his head and turned away. He thought to himself, for selling 5,000 kilograms, he can only compromise his younger brother. A strong and sturdy guy wielding a stick executed 20 blows. But it seems this sturdy guy only hit the buttocks of the old man. They just lightly touched each other. Tru Hao also became speechless with this technique. Then he quickly said in a sarcastic manner, isn't this sound wrong? It should be tray tray tray. So it should be bop bop bop, right? Hearing that, the old fox felt itchy and yelled. Then he shouted loudly bop bop bop. Let us use our strength to strike. When the words of the old fox were finished, It was also the time when the sounds of bop 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 were heard. The buttocks of the old man turned red. The sturdy guy struck with all his might. He used all his strength to strike, continuously making the old man cry out in pain. He kept yelling, don't. Seeing that, True Hao sang mockingly. While singing, he said, "This sound is crispy enough. Fat lines behind, must be looking at True Hao with different eyes." He thought to himself, the evil young master is really cruel like a rhino. Then True Hao turned to talk to the knock couple and Thuong Tu Nha. He spoke to them like this. "The couple have any plans?" Thuong Tu Nha replied, "We plan to leave the trading village and find another way of living." Hearing this, True Hao enthusiastically invited me to open a tavern in Nanjing. "You guys should come with me." Thuong Tu Nha heard such good news and agreed. Then True Hao smiled and turned to the old cunning fox to say, "Head of the clan, this couple wants to leave the trading village to avoid paying taxes." The old cunning fox looked over and asked what tax. True Hao lovingly said, using his eyes to point to the couple, "Nok and Thuong Tu Nha," and said they have 1 acre of paddy fields and 2 acres of sugarcane fields, plus a house, total worth 60 taels of silver. When they leave, their assets will belong to the clan leader, who will provide them with money. Hearing this, the old cunning fox's greediness came out. His eyes widened and he said, "The reward is only 30 taels. True Hao slyly continued, "Plus money for medicine and 10 taels. To reconcile with my brothers. Total of 100 taels, minus the silk money." Hearing the words 100 taels, and still deducting the silk money. These words stabbed straight into the heart of the weakling, the old greedy fox. He was so angry that he stammered. He suffered and collapsed. In his head, the old cunning fox kept cursing, "Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, oh my God, endured enough." In his head, he continued to calculate and subtract. So 1 tael of silk will be sold for $4 a year. 2 will make a little profit, better than nothing. Finally, he helplessly said okay. After a successful transaction, some were relieved while others were satisfied. True Hao raised 2 fingers and smiled brightly, looking at the knock couple and Thuong Tu Nha. Seeing True Hao make a few moves and say a few words, he had already made a deal with the old greedy fox. The knock couple and Thuong Tu Nha were astonished, surprised and amazed. Then this couple is happily relaxed. In their minds they secretly think, "Millionaire son is so amazing. No, go towards Millionaire Hao." He smiles cunningly, looking at the old fox gently says, "Are there any delicious food for this young master?" The old fox hears that and also feels bitter. His face has forced a smile, still asking to eat toward old Tu. Then after being beaten with 20 trong bop, bop bop into his round white butt, then he was put into a pig cage soaked in water. His face looks different now. He was so arrogant before, planning to burn the house of the couple. Go knock and Thuong Tu Nha. Then Millionaire Hao enjoyed the grilled chicken dish. While eating, Millionaire Hao was singing about the grilled chicken, "The food we love, but your mother told you to hurry up, Millionaire Hao." He just ate grilled chicken and watched old Tu being soaked in the pig cage. Millionaire Hao still didn't forget to tease. "This young master is so big. First time enjoying drowning a pig cage." Old Tu was angry and wanted to smoke. His head was cursing the rotten kid. "Lao Tu won't let you go." Millionaire Hao smiled, looking straight at old Tu and continued to say, "Your moral character is not okay. Raising chickens is quite dangerous. You eat tender meat without resistance. I enjoy it." Hearing that, old Tu became even more angry. He stammered, You dare to eat my chicken." Millionaire Hao calmly continued, "I don't even eat your chicken. I fancy naming your chicken." Hearing that, old Tu stood up. What the hell does it mean for 5 seconds? This old guy doesn't understand what Millionaire Hao means. Then Millionaire Hao puts 8 legs containing grilled chicken wings. Millionaire Hao excitedly continues, "The name is KFC, there are many chicken wings." Old Tu cries and regrets those chickens. They were all eaten. Hoo, tears and tears. Finally, Hu Duck and Millionaire Hao. A total of 11,000 caddies of silk were collected. Duong Hu Duck rented another silk boat. At this time, the two wanted to return to Nanjing. They were warmly seen off by the merchants. Thuong Du Tu and other merchants accompanied them to the pier. They waved goodbye and welcomed their return. Duong Map and True Hao were also happy. They waved in response. Definitely. After they left, True Hao had some advice for Duong Map. He told him, "In the future, do not come here again, or you will be killed." Duong Map was extremely puzzled by this, and asked with a loud voice, "Now, at the eastern gate of the Nanjing River, 2 miles away, there is a warehouse for storing pearls. It is crowded with boats and people gathering here, looking at the piles of goods stacked neatly in the warehouse." True Hao said with some doubt, "Renting this place for 30 taels per month is too expensive. Why don't we take the silk to the city?" Duong Map explained that there are taxes in the city. The taxes in the city are for shipping and silk. Hearing this, True Hao asked straightforwardly, "So, are we avoiding taxes by staying outside the city?" Duong Map, with his experience as a pioneer, confidently replied, "We're not avoiding taxes by staying outside the city. We rely on the taxes collected inside the city. Later on, we'll still have to pay outside the city. We won't even get a single penny from the government." Hearing this, True Hao couldn't help but be astonished and said, "How can the government be so ignorant?" Duong Map calmly replied, "What can they do if they know?" Duong Map smiled confidently and continued, "This land belongs to the Duke of Gai Kwok. It was built by the Duke of Gai Kwok. Everyone stores their goods here to avoid taxes." Hearing this, True Hao stroked his chin. His expression showed extreme surprise. He said again, "The Duke of Gai Kwok. This Duke of Gai Kwok is not good." Then he sighed and continued, "The great Ming is ruined in the hands of people like him." Hearing this, Duong Map praised, "The young master has a noble heart. Shall we go into the city to pay taxes?" But True Hao coldly replied, "No, we won't pay taxes." Duong Map, hearing this, laughed heartily. As for True Hao, he is full of surprises, and argues that even though I am still young, wait until I grow up to pay my respects to Kwok Ra. Then True Hao goes to a narrow alley appearing in front of him. Now he is a monk, with a very elegant appearance. This monk says, "The master is too coincidental. I came to find the one who closes the door." I was about to leave and hear these words from the monk. True Hao was thinking about the words he just heard. Isn't it blaming me for coming early? Then, he turned to ask the monk what's going on. This monk replied, "I wrote a letter to Vong Min Chu, leader of the Literature Association, punishing Sao Kung Cho." Hearing this, True Hao exclaimed. But right after that, this monk brought a very big surprise to True Hao. This monk smiled, with a bit of cunning, and said, "Apart from the message, the love poems of the master have been spread across the river. For a long time, many female writers asked the monks to deliver letters to the master." Just said, this monk reached out and handed a stack of letters to True Hao. True Hao was extremely excited and amazed. He exclaimed, secretly thought, "Is the famous letter writer writing a love letter to me?" Then True Hao teasingly said, directly to the monk, You, as a monk, how do you know so many female masters? Aren't you ashamed?" This monk regained a serious look and said, "Take away the gender distinction in poetry. Organizing a poetry gathering for female writers to support better." Seeing that this monk doesn't want to ridicule anymore, True Hao immediately said seriously, "I'm tired, I want to sleep." This monk heard that and said, "Please write a letter in reply. 2 days later, the monks will come to collect it." Then this monk left. Only True Hao and a stack of letters remain. True Hao has arranged these letters into 4 rows. He sits down on the ground, tidily. He crosses his legs and approaches the letters. True Hao seems excited as he speaks. "Very good, there are 30 steps. In my previous life, I never had a sister who wrote me letters." This has made True Hao touched. His tears flowed. He is satisfied for a moment. He looks at the letters in front of him. True Hao is very curious and wonders if there are famous historical figures who wrote me letters. He pays attention to a letter with the title, True Kong Tu Origin. Below that, there is the name code, Thuong Lan. Seeing this name code, his eyes brighten. There are 8 names in Hoai Chuan Diem, including Thuong Lan. Thuong Lan, Tran Vien Vien, member of Bok Mon. Dai Nok King Li Hong Quan, Dong Tiu Wen. Thuong Lan, this is one of the names in Hoai Chuan Diem. True Hao is very curious about the letter that Thuong Lan wrote for him. Immediately after, he opened the letter, murmuring to himself, "What did my sister write to me? She just wants me to guide her writing." In the letter, it's all about the way, which path to take, which stroke to make. These made True Hao admire. These words aren't bad, but True Hao feels a little embarrassed, thinking that I'm just a dead poet, wanting to write poems, with her, for real. Certainly, it will reveal my incompetence and worthlessness. I can't face her anymore. Phuong Duc returns from the outside, seeing True Hao sitting dumbfounded like a dog in the middle of the house. He asks the young master what's wrong. Oh, Hao, hearing that, puts down Thuong Lan's letter and asks, "Mr. Fuang, do you have any business? Fuang Duck eagerly says, open the wine tower, shall we? We can't miss inviting a female musician from CA to attract guests. True Hao, upon hearing that, feels excited in his heart. But still need to remain calm and ask him if there is a suitable person. Immediately Fuang Duck invited True Hao outside. Outside there are many young women waiting. Fuang Duck pointed towards them and said, find a few famous people in the North City to choose. True Hao nodded in agreement, then eagerly whispered to see these young women. When seeing the house and True Hao, he criticized, this house is too poor. How can the owner really want to open a casino? Isn't he just fooling people? True Hao looked around, and glanced at the young women here. His eyebrows slightly frowned as he thought in his head, the outer appearance is not good. Mediocre education, but very talented. Then, True Hao thought of the selection method and shouted loudly, choose good singers. Die men, start performing. Whoever can make my young master happy. Spin around, I will invite that person. True Hao led the young women into the singing competition. True men saw a tip similar to the masked singer. Some young women saw that and immediately turned and left. They even complained, what are you doing? We don't want to play with you. Some others agreed and left. At that time, Fuang Duck spoke. Only 2 people left. Those 2 young women then showed their talent. One played the piano and sang, what is it that makes this baby think of me? Think of me as if you're in my flesh and bones. Her voice sounded very emotional, making True Hao trembling. He quickly called for the next person. The second young woman played the violin and sang, what is it that makes Kim Ga a masterpiece? After hearing 2, 3 lines of the song, True Hao immediately shouted farewell. After the girls left, Fuang Duck approached True Hao's ear, whispered that the best woman would cost 5 to 6 taels of silver. Or we can't afford to invite anyone. Or should we not invite anyone? True Hao heard that, also had to grit his teeth and exclaim, being trapped like that, but you stroke your chin, thinking about something. Wait a minute, if you can invite Ma Thuong Lan to perform together. Thinking here, True Hao immediately stepped inside the house, smiling slyly while walking. Fuang Duck noticed that, very curious, and asked the gentleman what he was doing. At this moment, his eyes were sparkling. He smiled triumphantly, and said, reciting a reply to a fan letter. Immediately, a pen and ink and paper were prepared. True Hao sat down, crossed his legs, closed his eyes. Mouth chewing on the pen, pointing with 2 fingers at his head. True Hao began to think. He thought about Ma Thuong Lan's position, which could be said to be a leading artist in the entertainment industry. How should he write the letter? To make her willingly come to this small tavern of mine, to work, right? For her, it's a trivial matter. Tan Hoi 8 performed, are all talented people, but Ma Thuong Lan is the most sentimental. According to historical records, later on, she will get to know Vong Tri Dang, this wretched guy, and spend her whole life for him. Thinking about this, True Hao seemed angry. He bit his lips and cursed in his heart. The Vong family. In the future, this young master will meet you, hit you every time. But right after, he thought about the main issue. Thinking too far ahead, how should he answer this letter? Fuang Zhao entered and saw True Hao. She paid a little attention to him. She saw True Hao sitting with his legs crossed, mouth chewing on the pen. His hand kept spinning, muttering to himself. Quick and bright-minded, quickly came up with it iya. Fuang Zhao didn't understand anything. In her hand, she was holding a plate of buns. Curiously asked, what are you doing in this position? True Hao smiled and replied, responding to a poem from Ma Thuong Lan. Listen here. Fuang Zhao spoke up, questioning what is going on with Ma Thuong Lan. What is her name? Is she jealous? True Hao blinked and smiled. He spun his pen in his hand, still not having met her. But he knew that a talented and affectionate woman like her, writing poetry, would benefit both of them. Fuang Zhao heard the words, affectionate, and poetry, and was confused. For a while, she looked straight at True Hao and said that, I bothered you with my poetry. True Hao immediately showed interest and said, how are you struggling to write? Fuang Zhao heard that and immediately apologized. Suddenly, True Hao's eyes lit up and he exclaimed that he had a way. But first, we need real inspiration to find the path. True Hao saw the steamed bun in Fuang Zhao's hand. Then he sat silently and said to her, I have to write a poem, so give me the bun to eat. Fuang Zhao heard him and became speechless. Immediately after, she proudly held a steamed bun and went straight to True Hao. She said, here, have one. The biggest one. Then she stuffed it into True Hao's mouth, causing his mouth to puff up. because this steamed bun was too big for his mouth.